Tech Snippets Today with Joseph Raczynski.
All right, I have Grigore Roșu today. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having me, Joseph.
I'm really looking forward to it. All right, there's a lot to unpack. Let me sort of set the stage for what we're about to talk about. And the way that I thought about it earlier was the blockchain ecosystem today is like a city where every street has its own language, its own currency, and a toll booth with over 1,000 blockchain networks and approximately now 16 million cryptocurrencies, though most of
Yep.
those are sort of, if let's continue with that, an abandoned car on the side of the road. So navigating this maze feels like working through the traffic in lower Manhattan, pre-congestion pricing, if I'd like to put it that way. Okay, so last thing I'll say is there are tons of cross-chain bridges. And those are, for those who are not as familiar, they're overworked translators of this city, trying to bring things together that don't necessarily talk to each other. These bridges come in flavors, lock in mints, burn in mints, and even trust us, we are decentralized models. But it's difficult. So what we're trying to do is unpack how we can actually get to the point where these bridges are easily worked, are trustworthy, are decentralized, all these fun things. So with that said, that's the sort of the storyline today, and sorting through this messy traffic. Grigore is going to help us understand what's out there and what he's working on specifically in this space. So Grigore, first, before we even go into that, I'd love to hear a little bit more about you and what led you down this path towards founding Pi Squared.
I am a mathematician by
Excellent.
education. I grew up in Romania with mathematics and chess and Go. And I came to the United States for PhD. I did my PhD at UC San Diego on proving correctness, developing techniques to prove correctness of programs. Then once I got my PhD, I worked at NASA as a research scientist to apply all these techniques to correctness of navigation and airspace, aircraft, mission critical software. And then in 2002, I came back to academia at the University of Illinois, Urbana-Champaign, where I'm a professor, and my area is programming languages and mathematical techniques as well, which we call formal semantics and formal verification. Essentially, techniques that reduce the problem of reasoning about programs and about their correctness and behaviors to mathematical proofs.
Hmm.
And in my world, everything that can be claimed to be true should be able to have a mathematical proof. If you claim something and you cannot give me a proof, then I do not have any strong reason to trust you, except that you are Joseph and I like you. And in that case, your signature, your digital signature, will count as a proof. So with this perspective that everything that is claimed, in particular, all these transactions that you mentioned on different blockchains, bridges, and so on, all these things, if they claim to be true, then they should come, or we should be able to generate a proof, a mathematical proof why they are correct. And now what we have is a general infrastructure, and that's what I developed over the last 30 plus years in my career as a computer scientist and programming language a person, techniques that allow you to literally do what I just said efficiently. You execute programs and they generate mathematical proofs in the background, and then you can check those mathematical proofs. And now you know that they are correct. I don't have to trust anybody because I can verify. And verify what? Verify mathematical proofs. So that's what's unique in our approach, is that we factor computation and claims of any sort through mathematical proofs. And then we have a way to verify mathematical proofs very uniformly. You see, in mathematics, you do not have that fragmentation that you mentioned in New York on streets and on blockchains with bridges and so on.
Right.
Why? Because mathematics in 5,000 plus years found the common denominator, right, of everything that is true. For example, you can prove a mathematical result using trigonometry, and then you can use that as an architect to prove the stability of your bridge based on geometrical arguments like Pythagoras theorem. And all these fit together. The fact that they are on different fields of mathematics with different axioms is irrelevant because they live now together in the world of mathematics and mathematical proofs. And that's exactly what we do with not only Web3 and smart contracts and blockchains, but with literally everything, any computation in any programming language.
Amazing. Okay, so let's pretend I am a smart contract programmer using Solidity on, let's say, layer 2 or whatever the case is, on Ethereum, whatever that is.
Yes.
How can pi squared help me? What role does that play within this?
So a first thing that is important to understand about pi squared is that we are not a blockchain. Blockchains bring more fragmentation to the field and they steal each other's users. There is this infamous concept of TVL, total value locked, and they try to increase that, but you can only increase that by taking it from other places. So we actually came up with a concept that we call total value unlocked. Because in our view, once we connect a certain ecosystem, L1 or L2, to our network, the value on that blockchain, L1, L2, is unlocked to applications that integrate as well with our blockchain, our network.
Right.
In case you're a developer, let's say on an L2, and you want to integrate AI agents in your application. You'd like, let's say, AI agents to trade using your smart contract and also to pay each other, maybe using your currency, your tokens. Then how can you put all this together? Because the AI agents may live somewhere else. They may execute, on powerful computing platforms, maybe in TEEs to be trusted and so on. So how can you put all this together? So what we offer is these mechanisms where you can execute a smart contract in your favorite language, Solidity, on your favorite L1 or L2. And that now becomes a verifiable claim on our network. And once you have that claim verifiable, you can get a proof of that. And imagine that this proof now is very succinct, very small, very fast to check because it's already been verified. It's a proof of proof. That's why we call it pi squared, actually. Pi squared comes from proof of proof. You get a cryptographic proof that you have a mathematical proof of the claim. Therefore, the claim is true. And it's very efficiently verifiable now that it's true. Okay, so now you can take this certificate and pass it to the AI agent, which can do its thing. And then it must formalize its thing as a claim as well, that now you can get a proof of. And now you can pass it back to your smart contract where you can make the payment or, an escrow or you see, so now you can connect different applications working on different blockchains or not even working on blockchains because you cannot execute yet AI models on chain, right? So they execute off chain and you get some sort of proof that the AI model did the right thing. And this way you can interact with different chains and different applications that are not even blockchains. And again, all this thanks to the common language of mathematics as a universal language of proofs for correctness, and an infrastructure that puts all this together and connects them with different ecosystems.
Amazing. Okay. No, that's much more clear to me than it was before, so I appreciate that. Do you have anything that you're working on right now that's about ready to come out that you're ready to announce?
Yes, definitely. So we are ready to announce our DevNet, which is the first time we put everything that we've done together and make it available to devs to give it a try. And essentially, it connects several components and provides them through appropriate APIs. In simplistically speaking, it's a super fast payment system. There is a famous, very recent protocol called FastPay that demonstrated for the first time, not published by me or my group at university or in our company, but nevertheless, it's an amazing, one of the best scientific discoveries, I think, in this field in the last 5 years. And they demonstrated for the first time that you do not need a blockchain in order to avoid the double spending problem. Satoshi Nakamoto invented Bitcoin
Right.
and the miners, the miner concept in order to avoid double spending, right? Because double spending means that you can spend the same coin in two different places, and the two different places don't know of each other, and you can buy two cars with one Bitcoin, for example, from two different dealers. And what Satoshi Nakamoto said, how about enforcing a total order on all the transactions? So now one of the two has to come first, either this one or the other one. And now there is no way to double spend. And that was taken as basic foundation by all the blockchains afterwards. And now all blockchains are blockchains, chains transactions and grouped in blocks for performance reasons. So FastPay, this protocol proposed by Facebook, then Facebook scientists, very strong scientists in the programming language field and formal methods and consensus protocols, they show that there is another way to do this, where you don't need to enforce a total order. Total order is, what's the problem with the total order? Total order is imagine that you have again, your metaphor, right? Suppose that you go in an intersection in New York and you say all cars that pass through New York must go through that intersection, right? Obviously, you'll have a very crowded intersection, right? And people will say it's very unfair. Why should I wait for the other guy? I have nothing to do with the other guy. I want to go from my business to my business. I don't need to, to stay in line with everybody else. Unfortunately, that's exactly what happens on blockchains. So FastPay, this protocol, completely eliminates this congestion where now all payments can be done completely independently of each other and in parallel. And we were amazed. I was amazed by that idea. And I said, okay, this definitely should go way further. It shouldn't be just for payments. And that's what we've done. We generalized and extended that protocol to work with arbitrary claims, mathematical claims, where a transfer of one token from Grigore to Joseph is just one claim that is being made, but I can also make other claims like Pythagoras' theorem is correct, or this Python program executes and evaluates to 42. Right? So all these are claims. And we generalized and extended the protocol. Now we call it fast set, where you can settle any claim. And that's what we do actually. We implement this protocol as efficiently as we can in our network, in our DevNet. So essentially it will be not a chain, it will be a set of claims, but connected with the different blockchains, L1s and L2s. So you don't lose the power and expressiveness and functionality that blockchains bring you, but at the same time, you unleash yourself. So if you don't need to go through that one intersection for whatever reasons, then you don't have to stay in line, right? You can implement applications very efficiently that way. So that's our big announcement. At the beginning of June, we are going to launch, and we'll announce on Twitter and everywhere on social media, that we are going to launch our DevNet, which will give devs and users a new approach to do Web3 programming.
Congratulations. No, that sounds great. That's fantastic. So one of the things I'm curious about to get your opinion on, I've been following the space for way too long, especially on the Ethereum side. So optimism, Polygon, Base, ZK Sync, Loopring, Arbitrum. Do we need layer twos at this point? Like, I think there was a time and a place for it, but is that something you still think going forward we're going to absolutely need?
So first of all, I think we need them with the current L1s because the current L1s are not fast enough and are expensive. L2s are useful because they take shortcuts. They can take shortcuts in how they build blocks. For example, if you have a way to execute EVM or Solidity programs very efficiently, if you parallelize them properly, then what you can do, you can select transactions in your blocks so that they are parallel with each other. And now you can execute them a lot faster, right, in the layer two. And you don't have to justify why you build a block that way. So you can be like a little dictator, right? How you build your blocks. All you have to prove then is that your blocks are still correct with respect to their execution. You cannot say this program evaluates to 41 when it actually evaluates to 42. So you still have to verify as a layer 2 what you've done. So with that in mind, I think L2s are needed now, and they give us performance, and also we can batch lots of transactions and blocks together into just one big L1 transaction, so that saves costs and improves performance. Long term, that's a good question. Long term, if we need L2s or not. So our philosophy with the Pi-square network is that there is no difference between L1s and L2s. For what? For us, from our network's perspective, L1s, L2s, AI agents, humans, they are just claim generators in the end.
Hmm.
For us, Ethereum generates a claim that from state 1, with these 242 transactions, we go to state 2. And that is a claim which is now independently verifiable. How Ethereum decides to put together a block is their own business from our point of view. If you use Ethereum, it means that you trust their way and you accepted their way of putting blocks together. And if from our perspective, all we want to make sure is that they are correct. Whatever they did is correct. It's provably correct and verifiable. So with that in mind, whether it's Optimism or Arbitrum or Ethereum or Bitcoin for that matter, it is less important. Actually, it's not important at all for our network. It's more, a user preference in the end, what they want to use and why. And the plan and the protocol supports that for our network is to have unlimited throughput, right? So you hear like
Perfect.
100, transactions per second, like in most fast blockchains. The super fast ones go to 1,000. Maybe some of them claim 10,000
Right.
transactions. But the truth is that even if we have 100,000 transactions, it will still be too little for the future.
Yeah.
Because
No,
we have
I
AI agents, we have millions of AI agents very soon, and they want to work all together, not to go through that one intersection in Europe. So we need unlimited TPS, and
right.
our protocol supports that. Our protocol is horizontally scalable, meaning that if you need more performance, you add more validators. And the intuition is very clear. Once you have completely independent tasks to verify, you can verify them in parallel. You need more work, you need more of them per time you need, add more verifiers to the network, incentivize verifiers to join.
So
And then to
yeah, go
answer
ahead.
your question now with that, then the need for L2s dissolves.
Yeah, no, that makes sense to me. Let me throw something out that I thought was kind of fascinating when I was in Dubai, the token 2049 recently. Someone on stage got up and said, "Hey, we may be at a point where Ethereum kind of buys back all of the tokens from Optimism, Polygon Base, and everybody else, so that there is a singular token that people can use going forward. Because right now it's so bifurcated with all these
Yes.
separate tokens that it becomes onerous for people to actually interact with these things. And like, oh my goodness, now I have to exchange this with this to get that to do this. So that was a proposal that someone threw out just off the top of their head. I thought it was kind of interesting. Um, we'll see if that comes to pass or not. But all right. You've alluded to this a few times, and I really kind of want to get your sense on the agents going forward. Um, to me, I think that we will all have agents, right? We'll have a primary agent that we interact with. It will potentially have its own wallet, its own digital wallet that it can then
It must.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
Um, but what's the alternative to that? Like, so what would the Web 2 world think? Like, how would they be able to process like millions or billions of agents that might be out there on the current Web 2 world? What's their solution to that? Because we know what the solution here is with
I
blockchain.
think with Web 2, we don't have that problem at all, right? With Web 2, you can have a new VM executing, spawned on different cloud services or different TEs, for example, if you want more trust, right? Running the AI model, the AI compute, inference or training. And we know that scales horizontally. I need more agents. I need to add more computing power, faster graphic, cards, and so on. So I think in Web 2, we don't have that problem. The problem is how to trust. Should we trust? If my car says take left in this intersection, and why should I trust it? What if somebody wants to kill me? Right? So how do I know that this computation can be trusted, and then that's where Web3 comes into picture now. We say, hey, I want it to be verifiable. Well, if it's verifiable, to verify it, I need to have it somewhere.
Right.
And once it's verified, I want it settled. And at any point in time, checkable again. And this is exactly what we are aiming at with the Pi-square network. Actually, if you think of agent, there's a great example where you see probably more easily than payments even, that you don't need a blockchain, okay? Because an agent operates completely independently of most of the other agents in the
Right.
world. And they have a state that they need to settle, to record somewhere, right? So why should they stay in line after each other, right, on a blockchain to say, hey, it's my turn to save my state, or it's your turn to save your state? You see, these are completely independent. And I think AI agents in particular will demonstrate a big need for alternative Web3 foundations like ours, because again, blockchains are needed for some applications where the total order is required, like in Uniswap. When you swap tokens, of course, the order matters because the price is affected by every single swap, right, in the pool.
Yes.
So you cannot swap them in parallel. That would be ridiculous. But if that is the case, then you can have a total order only on that application. So that application can have its own account, can have its own program, and it's like having its own chain, like an app chain. But it doesn't even have to make a big deal out of it, because that's what all applications do. Applications are app chains in the Web2 world, right? You go from one state to another, to another, to another. So same here, with the capability to be able to settle your state regularly. You can say, for example, if you are a high-speed trading platform, right? Let's not talk Uniswap, say Coinbase, let's say,
Right.
right? You have the option, and you should, and if you don't in the future, somebody else will, settle your state every, let's say, second. You say every second, we choose how we do the trades, the order, but we guarantee you that all the trades will be done correctly and the price will be updated correctly, and there will be no, front running. There will be none of our transactions. The transactions will be taken in order, in some order that they describe. And now that application can store its state, can settle its state in its account, and at that point becomes verifiable.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Huh.
so that's our vision, that basically there is no real gap between Web3 and Web2. Web3 really, it's all about assets. That's how I regard it. So we have
Okay.
assets, we own our own assets, and we have full control over them.
Yeah,
Nobody holds my assets.
that's definitely a fresh take. Okay, last question that I'm kind of curious about, and it's definitely a tangent from all of this, but being that you've been a developer, a coder, for ages, I'd love to hear your take on this. What are your thoughts on the vibe coding movement and this idea that now people are leveraging Cursor and Lovable.dev to build things, and those individuals have never really coded in their life. But now you have the ability, leveraging AI, to do things like this that have never been possible before. What do you think? Where do you think this goes, and how does that impact things from your vantage point, in your unique spot?
I think it's a good direction, because think of nature. Nature just happens. The wind blows through the leaves of a tree. I see a tree now in front of me. It's beautiful how the wind goes through the leaves, and they do their thing, and we don't care what's the program underlying all these dynamics. Same with programs these days. Why should Java or C or Python or Solidity mark the future of our species? So I think what matters in the end is the action, the intent, what we do as humans. And if we can use tools like AI to help us in the process, make us move faster, evolve faster, then that's wonderful. But I think a problem will persist no matter what we do, which is that of trust and correctness and verifiability. If an AI agent or if a program does something for me with my things, with my assets, with my time, my life even, I'd rather be certain that nothing bad can happen. And this is where having a way to take all these actions, be them generated by AI or humans or anybody through mathematical proofs, I think that will give us this higher level of assurance that we are in good hands, if one could say so. And as a matter of fact, I think the AI can help us actually do that. Because if the AI can generate, if an AI agent or Copilot or LLM tool can generate a program to do something for you, it should be able to also generate the correctness argument of why that does what it's supposed to do for you. Okay, so AI agents will become better and they will be able to, they already can do mathematical proofs, quite hard mathematical proofs. They should be able very soon to prove the program they generate correct for us. And then we got it. We got both the creativity and the speed and the benefits of AI and the correctness that we expect as humans.
Thought-provoking. My goodness. Grigore, thank you so much for your time today. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Joseph. Wonderful conversation.
Tech Snippets Today with Joseph Raczynski.